Good evening, SBC. Good evening, SBCC. Good evening, BSL. Good evening to all points in between, all around about. Welcome to the January 4th, 2022 edition of SBC Tuesday Talk, the very first Tuesday Talk of the year. Glad to have each and every one of you with us this evening. And I am your host, Mr. Mike Walker. And again, glad to have each and every one of you here. Thank you for joining us. We got a full show this evening, though. So just fasten your seatbelts, sit back, and just watch what happens. Okay. So, and we'll start off with the salutations, and we can get to them. Hello, Karen. We'll just go through them. Glad to have each and every one of you here. Let me see who else. Sasha Doja, glad to have you here. Happy New Year to you as well. D. Giles, Andrea, glad to have you here. Who else is Shanita Wilkerson? I think this is your first time, maybe. Glad to have you. D. Giles, always a pleasure to have you here. Crystal Smith, glad to have you. Oh, Leslie's in the audience and she's on the panel as well. Wow. Superhuman powers. Glad to have you here. Tad Wiley, Kimberly Murphy, brother Nathan Hamilton. Glad to have you. Oh, Marcus out there and in here too. Okay, Jenna, glad to have you. I think today is her birthday, so happy birthday to you as well. Who else? We got a few more. Sonia, Teresa, Tam. We got that. Shell, glad to have you. Melly Mel, Ebony, and Sharon. Good. So, without further ado, let me introduce our panelists for this evening. And as you can tell, we got a full load with us this night. So I start over to my left. We got Leslie Roof from Birmingham Metro. We got VL Force from Illinois. We got Tamara Miles from Arkansas. We got cousin Keena from the Magnolia State. We got from the Sunshine State, Pastor DeWarn Jackson. We got from the Golden State, we got Kirsten, the songstress and evangelist. And we also got from Bingham Metro, brother Marcus Wilbanks. Glad to have each and every one of you here with us this evening. Well, folks, we're going to get started, though. We're going to get started with our first topic for this evening. And it's a video. And I think it is Tori Roberts. I believe it looks like her, though. And I guess she was hosting a conference. And she asked the question, though, is a good man hard to find? So let's take a listen. You may have to turn up your speakers or headsets up a little because the voice is just a little low. So here we go.
I'm going to, to my more seasoned women on the panel here, I have a question on behalf. What do you say? I don't know what to say. I have a question for my single sisters, okay? Because I talk to them a lot. I'm not one of them, but they talk to me. And we got questions. When y'all were dating, was there an abundance of good men? Because for some reason, we don't know where they are. Like, did y'all, I found me one, be clear, found mine, not for me, quite literally asking for a friend. Is this like this new generation thing? Has it always been bleak out here? Is your hope in Jesus? Like, where do we do with this?
I think every generation has said that there's a dearth, there's a lack, there's a scarcity. I don't think there's any generation but whether that's true or not is different. And I don't think it's true. But I think we have picked it up, and generation after generation, people are saying, well, a good man's hard to find, a good man's hard to find. But the fact of the matter is, since God's plan is a total plan and a complete plan, then he could not possibly have these women and daughters who he has designed to be in relationships and not have an answer and a solution. So I think we have to look at what our question is, because if we assume that a good man
There it
does not
is.
exist, we're accusing the Lord on one level. Yeah.
Don't y'all accuse the Lord out here. Don't you accuse him. Don't you accuse them out here. Don't you
Came right for
accuse
your
them.
edges. Just went on and snatched them.
Okay?
Let me get them edges up off of you.
So, based on the response, Dawn already grinning. So, based on the responses with the older lady answered though, well, one, it's a two-part question. Are there any good men left? Now, that's a rhetorical question. And number two, does her answer is the cure all answer for that lifelong question? Kirsten.
I'm just gonna start out and get mine out the way. Do I sound double?
You sound pretty good though.
Do I sound okay?
Yeah,
On my end, I sound kind of double. But I'll say this. Is there any good men out there? Is there still any good men out there? Yes, I believe so. But I also believe that good men as well as good women have been scarred, so scarred from past relationships until they have not made themselves or they are not willing to become available at this time or anymore because of what has happened to them in the past. Um, and the second question that you asked when the woman was saying, we have to, of course, long story short, be careful that we take the situation out of God's hands. I get that. I totally understand that. And yes, we have to be careful of not allowing God to do what He's going to do for us. But at the same time, I know God, God, God can be the picker. God can work things out for us. He does work things out for our good. But we have to be in an available stance for God to do what He's going to do. If we don't put ourselves in a place, how can God work and do the things that He does if we don't put ourselves in a position to be available for what He has for us? Because we can be broken, we can be hurt, we can be scarred, we can be in a place of undeliverance. We can be in such a place where if we do not get ourselves into an available situation where we are available, we will miss out on what God has for us. We may have already missed out on what God has for us because we haven't gotten ourselves together based on the past hurt, the scarring, the whatever has happened. So we have to be careful with that too. Mike on.
Okay, Victor.
I think there are a lot of good men out there, but good is subjective. And so it just depends on how people value good. And not everybody, the truth is not everybody want a good guy. Some people want the bad guy. So, it just really, it's one of those things that, and it's like, how do we define really good? Is it good as in good looking? Or is it good character? Or is it all of the above? Or is it, we've been clouded and I feel like jaded because good is sometimes based on the material things that takes place. So good could be based off of what I perceive the scriptures is of a man and of a husband. And so that can vary. Good could be, someone could say David is good. Somebody else can say, well, David had a problem with his flesh. Somebody can say Moses was good. Somebody else can say, well, Moses killed somebody. Somebody could say Paul was good. But then somebody else can say, well, he killed some people. And so good is very subjective. And I think that it's important to know what's your good and how do you value the good? And do you see good in everyone? Or is it just, you know, you think the good is fake? So just that.
Okay. Okay. And anyone else want to tackle this?
Yeah, me.
Go ahead, Tam.
Oh, okay. When it comes to any good men, I believe that good, of course, is subjective, but we have to think about the preferences that we have, where we take a person out of a status or put them in a status. So the lady said, not accuse God. Well, how would you know when God sends that good person if that good person doesn't have the attributes or the preferences that you have? So, how can we then blame God for our choices that we make? Because Roscoe, he was bald head, or he had one eye, you know. So I don't think we can even put that on God when we make our own choices.
Mm. Okay. Okay.
And we have to a lot check our preferences and check our own vanity, because a lot of times a good man or a good woman is what we think is in the eyes of people who perceive us. Because a lot of times, well, he gotta smell good, he gotta look good, he gotta have this, or she has to look like this and she has to look like that. But we haven't talked about character, how they treat you, how you feel around them, how they make you feel. Um, Nothing that is of substance that's going to build you to be a better person. But we determine that's not a good man or that's not a good woman, and then we miss out on a a partner that you were supposed to have, but because we got locked into our fleshly preferences. And I'm not saying that preferences are not good or good, but sometimes we have to check ourselves a lot of times and see if our preferences are really what we um need to have, and we need to put them in perspective.
I love that, Kina, because as you were saying that, I asked myself, well, how do I know what's good for me? How do I truly know what is good for me? And I reflect on, when we are a child and our parents say, well, I know what's for your good. I know what's good for you. I'm your parent. I'm your mother. I'm your father. I know what you need. Being in that role, why are we not asking God to bring us the man that's good for us, even if because in our limited wisdom, how do we really know what's good for us? And because our wisdom is going to point to what is pleasurable, what as you were saying, what makes us feel good, what makes the flesh feel good, what makes our ego feel good, what makes us feel good in all these earthly areas that we're going to focus on. But God's like, I know what's for your spiritual good. I know what's for your divine good. And we need to be focused on that. I mean, it humbles you because it's like, you know what? Why am I sitting here thinking about, preferences and all this stuff? But actually, I really need to be tapping into what God is telling me that I need for me. And maybe if I can understand what God is saying is good for me, I can look at these prospects differently through godly eyes and not through Leslie's fleshly, vain eyes and so forth.
And that made me think about you and Keena. Made me think about the conversation we had this past Saturday night social about how we're going to approach dating and finding that special somebody in the year AD 2022, and it's kind of agreed upon that we may have to change some of our preferences and what have you, though. And but then again, what happens if that person is a good person? And like Tamara said, what you say, he had one eye or something like
One
that?
eye. You got one eye.
One eye or bald head, but you got 3 guys on here with bald heads, though. So I don't know if that's not a bad thing, though. So
I don't think so, but
Okay, yeah.
I really don't think so.
Okay. So we have to kind of compromise a little bit. Got to compromise a little bit, but again, like Keena, maybe I had to correct you a little bit, Keena. You said people say, well, he got to smell good. Well, you don't want funky now.
I don't want and then let's be clear. Of the most. But he has to buy let's see what's the most popular thing out there. Creed or what's out there? Or Polo Black or he has to wear that
Tom Ford.
I haven't bought a male cologne in so long.
I'm like, what does a good smelling man smell like? It's been that long. Somebody give me some more sense. Let me know what smells good.
Cologne. Okay.
Oh man.
That long.
Wow.
So you know what? So here would be my question. When people say, I'm waiting for God to send me that good man, are you willing to forego all of your preconceived notions, all of your ideas of what this perfect man is supposed to be like? I mean, because I always say, I revert back to Jesus. They believed that they were getting a king coming in on a chariot, but they got a man that looked like a man and they rejected him. So how does anybody know if we got 10 people, do 9 people can they matter of factly state, I knew that was the one for me, because if that's the case, we all of us ain't got no business being single if we want to be in a relationship. Okay. So I say anybody that want to be in a relationship can be in a relationship. Somebody is a phone call away. Roger, I decided that I want you now. That's I don't even know by now, no baby, Roger, but that's how easy it is. But Roger got a deficiency that I just can't deal with, So we have to be realistic with what we say, because if we say we want a good man and a good man is standing in front of you, but something's wrong with him, it's not him, it's you. You don't really want what you say.
Okay, Victor.
I think that sometimes when it comes down to good, is realizing good is not the only quality. And because someone could deem us to be good, but we may not like you.
That part.
Or we're good, but we may not be, it may not be the season for us to pursue, or we may not have the interest right now in you, or we may have other priorities. And I think sometimes what happens is um, people will see someone that have certain attributes in the church, and they're competing to get the attention, not realizing whether or not do they consider you to be good or attractive enough for them. Because in our own minds, we will all consider ourselves to be good on the surface, but deep down, sometimes we may think different about ourselves. And having to realize good doesn't equate to be attraction. Attraction doesn't equate to be compatibility or suitability. And so it's don't get confused, because I've seen and I've been a victim in the situations where they'll say the good, and it's like, but you don't know me as an individual. You know what you think you know, or whatever you feel like, or whatever, but you don't know, or just because it's good or because we're saved doesn't mean I want to be with you. And having to deal with when you deem them good, but they don't deem you good enough, which is sometimes, reality.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Now, Sonia Neal has a question. I have a question. Is it possible for a man that has dated a friend in the past to be your husband?
Yes.
Anyone?
Yes.
Along with Leslie?
I'll tackle that. Mac's wife and one of my friends, they had some type of situationship, right? And so I say situation because it wasn't really a relationship. I think she liked him, but he didn't really like her or whatever. Or they kind of went out a couple of times or whatever. And he at the time was he was one of my best buddies. And so I went to him before I approached her, even though we were all friends. I went to him and said, "Hey man, this is what I'm thinking." And he was like, "Man, I think y'all will be good together." Matter of fact, brother man was one of the best men in my wedding. Matter of fact, there were times where um, he and my ex-wife they liked this one particular preacher, and they would go out of town. It was an hour and a half away, and they would go together because I had to work or whatever the case may have been, and I was always comfortable in them, going. They would come back, and I'd rather him be with her because I trust him than her to be driving on the road by herself. And so, but that was a different scenario. He was cool with it. Like I said, we all were cool. So,
And
Okay.
the reason I said yes, because I'm reflecting on a conversation I had earlier today with my aunt, and she'll probably be so proud of me that I'm using her words of wisdom. But when we really consider this relationship we have with God, and because I'm still focused on God leading and guiding us to this person, and forsaking our own preferences, forgetting our own fleshly desires and all these attractions and things we picture in our mind of who that person, what that person will look like. That we forsake when God brings a man and woman together. He says, leave your mother and father, leave the home of your parents, and you come together and join as one. So you're forsaking the folks who raised you. Why am I worried about some friend in a previous relationship? I think if this person is if through prayer and through God guiding and leading you both together, because it's not just you saying, "Oh, this is a good man," and that this is the person that God is leading me to. It has to be some agreement. God just don't speak to you; He's supposed to be speaking to that other person as well, and bringing y'all together and confirming what you both feel in your spirit is what's happening in that moment, in that space, and in that season. That it doesn't, the past doesn't matter. Whoever they were with before does not matter. what happens is at that moment when God is appointing you to move forward in that relationship and to be ordained by God. So whoever they were married to, whatever children they had and who they had them with, it should not matter. It shouldn't matter. Now, if you let that get in the way of God blessing you, that's your fault.
Mm-hmm. And may I chime in on this one here?
Yes, sir.
This is a true story that I picked up, and I'm glad you say that, Miss Leslie. One true story that I've known for a long time. It's been a long time ago. It was well before I even met you, Mike. Well before I even got with the SBCC program. There was a woman. I don't even know who the woman is, but she had the notion of not dating a guy who has the same name as you or has the same name as me. Now, I don't know how strange that sounds there, but she had told me that she dated this guy, and I'm gonna say the name. It's Marcus, same first name as me. And she had said that well, I used to date a guy named Marcus because he was a jerk. Hey, he cheated on me and that. I'm thinking just like Ms. Leslie said, why does the name have anything to do with you not dating another guy with the same name? I mean, you're thinking about the first name itself, but you're not thinking about the personality within. I mean, it's just like another woman that probably dated another guy named Victor, or dated another guy named Mike, or dated another guy named Terrence, or Tom, Dick, and Harry. And you don't even know if the next guy with the same name has a similar personality trait, or even another with a different personality or a different adventure. Anyway, so just like Lizzie said, you don't even go by what's in the name. You don't go by names, and you don't even know how to move forward as to let the chips fall where they may, or lay the cards out there on the table. If the right card is out there on the table, make sure you pick the cards up, and if they are as good as they look, just go with it. Because now that we're in the month of January, I know Martin Luther King Day is coming up. Remember what Martin Luther King said in his "I Have a Dream" speech, as we should not be judged by the color of our skin, but by the content of the character. If we go by the content of the character, then and only then, how we know if this guy or this girl is the right one for you. That's all I have to say.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Wilbank.
I just don't feel that. I'm sorry.
Tamara.
That's just like people that won't date people, to Marcus's point, that are certain signs. So it's always there's something. People have their niches, good, better, and different. So Marcus, I do agree that people judge people of something over something other than who they are. It's this stigma that goes with them. They don't even know they have. So yeah, I understand what you're saying.
And they might be triggered.
Yeah.
I mean, they may be triggered though. I mean, I don't know. Keena, what you was about to say?
I'm gonna say, I just in my spirit that the Lord I serve is not going to bless me with a man with the same name as my ex-husband. I just feel that in my spirit. I just don't think another Amari Jamil Campbell is gonna be out here like, hey baby, and that's just not gonna be. I just don't feel that in my spirit, and I'm just gonna say that right there.
Oh Lord.
But Keena, what if he's a good man? He's a good man.
You know what? I don't think I just said, Lord, please,
Great.
Lord,
Great.
help me.
I think somebody with that name joined SBCC today too. Let me go back and check though.
Don't, you better not. You better not. You better not.
I'm inviting them to the after party. Okay. Okay, folks. Let's get to the next topic.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's get to the next topic. Okay. It was this video I saw on the gram, on Instagram. And since we got 4 men of God on here, this is a good question, but I want everyone to tackle this. The name of the video is What Men Want in a Relationship. What men want in a relationship. And do we as men agree or disagree? And do you sisters, your thoughts? So sit back and relax and take a look.
All right, queens, you guys have been asking for this one. 5 traits that all men want in their woman. Here we go. Number 1, physical attraction. If you want to know one thing about men, it's this. They are absolutely visual creatures. I cannot stress that enough. A man of quality is going to want a woman who takes pride in her physical appearance. She doesn't necessarily have to be the most beautiful woman in the room, but she is going to be a woman that understands the importance of how she presents herself to the world. Number 2, cooperation. And this one is so simple. If you want a man that's a natural leader, you're going to have to know how to cooperate. He's going to want to see if you can be a partner, if you can be a team player. He's not going to want to fight with you over every single little thing. If you are stubborn, combative, closed-minded, and negative, a man of quality is going to find that extremely unattractive. A lot of us women get into the bad habit of making everything a battle. And if you want a man who is high quality, he is going to have way bigger things on his mind, like running your family in the right direction. He's not going to want to argue with you over what you are going to have for dinner. Number 3, to feel wanted. Don't get me wrong. He wants you to be fully yoked. He wants you to have a life. He wants you to have all of those things. And you can be independent. You can be a boss woman, but just make sure that you're operating in that feminine energy that makes a man feel wanted. He's going to love the fact that you have passions and interests in a life outside of him. But you have to remember that a man's natural state is to be a provider and to be a protector. And he's going to want a woman that makes him feel like he has room to do that in her life. Number 4, and y'all are not going to like this one. Accountability. Yeah. Harsh truth. We don't have any problem telling a man the 152 ways that they are wrong. But when the tables turn and it's our turn to be accountable, a high-quality man is going to want to see that you know how to do that. Can you apologize? Can you hold yourself accountable? For some reason, for us women, it's so hard to acknowledge when we're wrong and to say that we're sorry. But a high-quality man is going to want to see that you can do that. It goes back to being a good partner. And number 5, last but not least, I hint at this one all the time, so I'm going to speak on it now. Feminine energy. I know for some reason whenever people talk about masculine energy versus feminine energy, it gets so controversial, and I really don't understand why that is. It's honestly very simple. Your grace, your class, your poise, your confidence, your nurturing, compassionate energy. If he's really looking for a wife, he's going to want to see a woman who can bring the qualities to the relationship that he naturally as a man cannot. Now here's the thing, and this message goes to men and women. It is not fair to go out into the dating market with a full list of all of the things that you need in a partner when you don't really know the first thing about what your partner is going to need from you. Relationships are a two-way street. And if you want to find and build a relationship that lasts the test of time, you're going to have to care about your partner's happiness and their needs just as much as your own.
Pastor Jackson, help us out here.
I think for the most part, those are 5 good qualities. The only thing I have an issue with is the cooperation of women not wanting to argue. You don't want to argue. I don't want my wife to be passive. If she has an issue, we talk about it. There has to be some type of communication between each other. I don't want to say my piece and then she's like, okay, and then agree with me. If she has something to say, I want her to share her thoughts. That's the only point I didn't agree with. But the other ones, yeah, I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyone else?
Yo, for the most part, anyway, I had to agree with the video anyway. One of the one thing that she did not touch up on is his personality. I mean, I could even say that I would want a woman with a very, very great sense of humor. Because a great sense of humor is one stability factor in which that's another form of communication in which I could easily get with anyway. And of course, she touched upon communication anyway. And it's always the old saying, there's no I in team. Hey, I always stress the fact, I mean, compared to my last relationship, and it was very tense, there was an I in her team, but not with me. It wasn't included anyway. It was not included, and that was very bad anyway. So basically, by all standards, also we have to go with accountability. Hey, listen, no matter how minute the problem is, if you're gonna keep the house in order, and that one light bulb goes out, hey, listen, that's just one light bulb. That's just one light bulb. We can replace it. We can work this one out. Just because one light bulb goes out in the house, don't matter if it's in the bathroom or the bedroom or in the kitchen. We don't want to throw the whole house out of there. Don't do that. So by all basic standards, I totally agree. I totally agree with all of the assessments. Accountability, communication, respect is always the key factors in what a man could ever want in a relationship. That's basically my number one thing that I would want in a woman anyway. But that's just me.
Okay. I get that. And she said accountability. And I think that should go both ways. I think a lot of that can go both ways. So I think now, do I believe that list is complete? Well, no. And then again, results may vary. You know, you have 4 brothers on here, and we may have, one of us may have 10, one we may have a list of 7. You know, everyone is different. But those lists with the young lady listed, I mean, that's a good core. That's well, best I could say, a good starter kit, so to speak. You can go from there.
That is a solid core.
Yeah, you can go from there. I think. Sisters. Okay.
I just appreciated the men having a say because the question was to men. So I enjoyed the responses. I was waiting on Vic though. Bishop. My God.
I like the list. I think it was the one that it's funny. The one that Dewan was saying, the one he pointed out is one that I think is significant, at least with me. Cooperation, and I don't look at the cooperation in that she doesn't have a voice, as it is. We endeavor, or we come to a point of middle ground. How can we agree? Can we come to a common denominator? because as we've heard many times, there's some scenarios where some women have been doing it on their own and having to fight and having to prove and having to, that struggle, that sometimes that comes into the relationship. And, you know, it's something that Marcus said, we're on the same team. Even though we may not always see things eye to eye, but cooperation is essential,
Mm-hmm.
And so because not wanting a contentious household, it, and that cooperation goes both ways. And so, and the the attraction. I mean, there got to be. uh, I may not get to talk to you, but what I see on the surface, that shell helps me in the attraction. And so that speaks to me volume, or the fact that they were talking about the femininity. And I think it's the fact of saying, you know, there's something different that you bring that I don't have. There's something you can, I can provide the seed, but you can help that baby come into existence. I can't do that myself. And so it's some things like that I think that is valuable, and it helps strengthen the relationship because there's some differences that exist. And so um, I liked it. Um, yeah, there could always be some add-ons or whatever, but as a good start, I'm like, hey, thumbs up.
Okay, thank you so much, Bishop. Ebony Washington asks a question. Would one or all of the men on the panel please explain their definition of feminine energy? So you want us to get ran out of town, don't you? Okay. Uh uh it's funny that you bring this question up because it kind of goes into, I guess, a next topic, so to speak. And these two posts were up for approval, but they can work together now. Y'all try to make sense out of this first part right here. Attention, gentlemen. Context: courtship, dating, marriage. A woman who walks in her feminine energy walks in her power. So, and I guess the poster is asking yes or no. If yes, what does this feminine energy look like to you? So, definitely, yes, it's this gentleman again. What does feminine energy look like to you? And since I'm going to lead by example on this, I feel feminine energy is strength. That's I feel feminine energy is strength and confidence. That's what I get from that, as well as intelligence and wisdom and the ability to make wise decisions. So, and also a woman who is not afraid to display her femininity, but then not be tacky and tasteless at the same time. So now that's mine. Fellas, help me.
I like that one. That was a good one, Brother Mike.
I would say, I would venture to say, I look at feminine energy as that which is pertaining exclusively to that of females.
Mm.
You know, it could be the fact of, child being able to carry a child. Um, it could be having female organs. That's that's exclusive to women, and so because I don't bound it to like things like nurturing, because nurturing, though I do desire that, and I may nurturing can be done with both male and female. And so, what's that is so unique of the gender that the masculine that we don't have. To me, that makes a big difference for me.
Okay. Other brothers, want to give it a stab?
Um, I want to reverse back to one of the comments that was up a moment ago. It says knowing the difference between Proverbs 31:10 and Proverbs 21:9. I've looked up the book of Proverbs and 31:10 says, "Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies." And let me go back to 21:9. It says, "It is better to dwell in a corner of a housetop than with a brawling woman in a wide house." I'm thinking, do I want to go with 31 or 21? For me personally, I'd rather go with 21. I mean, no, not 21, but 31. Excuse me. Lord help me. Lord help me. Just pray for me later. But I'd rather go with the 31 version. My definition of feminine energy is 31:10, a virtuous one. I mean, listen, it don't matter how big of a woman looks like, or how unattractive a woman looks like. As long as a woman presents herself, in my definition, is the way she is. I mean, listen, just like I'm gonna use Leslie as an example. Leslie turns out to be virtuous herself in her own definition. I mean, I may think, you know what? She presents herself as the comedic type, very humorous, very funny. Hey, at times. So I pass that off as that type of feminine energy. I might like her feminine energy, or I may pass off with Keena's energy. Keena, same way with hers. You remember what she said last time we had this talk? She says, "Love me well or leave me alone." You had those two type of choices here. That is one hard-nosed advice that us men and men alike need to follow with. So the type of feminine energy, it could be a difference. It could be one or the other, or maybe a combination of both. So my definition of feminine energy is simple in 3 words. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
And Keena meant that last week too, didn't she?
She did meant that one.
She did.
She did meant that one.
And look at her tonight, y'all. But okay. I guess she got a Bentley parked outside or something.
I was Diane Carroll.
Oh boy, y'all ain't got no sense, I swear. Well, folks, I think we got time for one more. We're gonna leave this one. Let me see. I want to pick. Yeah. We're gonna talk about I guess being a gentleman. Being a gentleman and how we treat our ladies when we out in public. Okay? And let's say you're out and about, and all of a sudden it started raining, and you didn't know it was going to rain. So, y'all got to walk at least a good, 10 yards to the car or whatever, and it's pouring down raining. What happens? Let's take a look at this clip, okay? And pardon the music, though. Please pardon the music, okay?
You want to bamba? You want to G with the big boys? Now you the wrong, get the kitty, you the wrong, get a cup of drink, but a drop cup. Hey, let me see how the thing goes. How the thing goes.
Leave it to Leslie. Okay. Okay.
Stupid.
Uh oh. Go ahead.
I think he was stupid. Okay,
I think that was so sweet. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no,
Keena.
he takes the umbrella. He gets her in the car, closes the door. Then he gets on the umbrella and walks himself back to his side. Why get wet?
But he also, it seemed like he took his shirt off or his jacket off or something.
Yeah, that
but she
was
could put it
nice.
over her hair. So
Yeah,
her
that
hair
was
wouldn't
nice.
get wet. So that's for, we know.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think
I didn't see that part. I didn't see that part.
Yeah, she had something over her head. That's why he had no shirt on. He just went out and about with no shirt on. I think he took his shirt off so she could cover her hair while under the umbrella. So I thought that was beautiful. That's sweet. That is very sweet.
That was A plus. If I had to grade that one, that was an A plus effort anyway. A plus all around. I mean, listen. It don't matter. It don't matter if you have an extra jacket or an extra shirt on. It's always encouraging to be a gentleman. And what he just did right there, just like y'all pointed out, you took her to the car under your umbrella. You took her to the passenger side, and then make sure she gets in the car as dry as you can be. I mean, it don't even matter if your boots get wet. Hey, as long as you get her in there.
Storming.
He understood the hair. That I did not see. He understood the hair.
Yeah.
And that is attention. Attention to
detail.
But look what April Patterson says. Go get the car and come pick me up.
I mean, but he still has to come with the umbrella, because you go certain places, you don't have an awning that you can walk under. I think with the car being where it was, we don't know where they walked from.
They could have been just outside.
Even if he had gotten the car and moved it to the other side of the street, she still would have had to get from the door to the car. And I mean, let me put it like this. Don't let us be those women that everything ain't good enough. If he extends himself enough to care about your well-being, regardless of how he does it, don't fight him on, you should have did this. No, let him extend himself and however he wants to show you favor and to be a blessing and to help you and to protect you. We can't be those women that, the man want to protect us, but he ain't protect us the right way. Like, what?
It's like the flower. It's like the flower
for him to protect us. Like, what? Let the man show you what he can do, and receive it, and not fuss about how he didn't do it right. Because he could have went to the car, got 2 umbrellas, and came back and said, "Let's walk to the car," and you were on your own and not being escorted in the heels. Like she had on heels too now. Walking on asphalt and cement with heels on a wet ground, she could have bust all kinds of behind on that ground.
Okay,
he escorted her in the best way he saw he could, and they did
it. It's like the flowers.
Okay. Kirsten. Hey, Kirsten.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you, Kirsten.
Turn the mic on. Turn the mic on.
That she got something to say that we can't
hear.
Ain't that
Kirsten?
Oh, damn.
We can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
And she had a word for us too.
I know
she did.
Maybe take your earbuds out.
Turn your Bluetooth off.
Yeah, turn your Bluetooth off, and then.
But while we wait on that, Nathan Hamilton said, "I can agree with that to an extent. Just like we as men have certain realistic expectations, we, at least me, need the women to teach us how to treat her."
But can we talk about that when we get in the car? Let's not be fussing.
That's a valid question.
Let's not
Very
be
valid
fussing
question.
on the sidewalk
That
in
part.
the rain.
Hey,
But that's just like walking on a busy street. As a gentleman, you are supposed to walk where the street is and have the lady walk next to you. Some men
Exactly.
don't do that, and a lot of ladies look at that. They're like, "Well, you want me to get hit by a car? What?
Exactly.
Get over here, you know."
Well,
Got me out here looking like a shit.
like looking like anyway. Kirsten, are y'all? Ooh, goodness. We can't hear you.
Girl, type it in the comments. It's gonna be good. I know it's gonna be so
You
good.
know what? That would be good though. Yeah, type it in. I know.
It would be good. It would be good.
Ooh, she got a word for us though.
She
But
got
anyway,
she always does. She always does. I'm not gonna disagree on you on that one.
But
now,
it's just like the lady who received the flowers and was tripping about a vase.
Yes.
That mess.
Oh my God.
I could have took those flowers and just whooped her with them.
Look, send me some flowers. I just want somebody to send me some flowers. I ain't gonna give you my home address, but I'll post my work address.
Okay.
I want somebody to send me some flowers in the new
And she
year.
let them sit on her floor.
What?
The whole video, she let them sit on her floor the whole weekend. And they took them back to work for a vase.
That just
And
means she had probably
she's
never
like,
even
I have
received
no
flowers.
She's never. I mean, she couldn't have. Like, you don't have a
Yeah.
vase. She's like, well, no vase, no water, no flower food. I'm like, are you 5?
Oh,
Kirsten, can we hear you now?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
we got it now.
We are ready for this word, y'all.
Please.
Everybody go on mute until Kristen can preach.
I'm going on mute. I'm listening.
No, I just had to agree. I had to agree with Leslie. With as far as chivalry is concerned, I want to say it kind of goes. It goes twofold. Being accepting of the chivalry, because women always say we want chivalry. I want a chivalrous man. But are you accepting of him being chivalrous? Are you going to allow him to open the door for you? Or are you just going to open the door? You're going to be ghetto and open the door and get out, or open the door for yourself and get in. We as women, that kind of ties into the femininity of a woman. We have to be able to allow a man to be a man. Allow him to be a man. We as women, we always wanted to, especially us single women. We've been single for so long. We don't learn how to do things on our own until when we do get a man in our lives, we forget how to allow a man to be a man. The chivalry itself it comes because and don't take it wrong. Not all men are exactly chivalrous as you would expect them to be. So we have to be careful in both sense of the matter. Be a woman. We have to sometimes, as women, train ourselves when a good man comes along and he wants to be chivalrous and we don't go to open the door. We stop and position ourselves at the door for him to open it. Because we have that mindset. We're so used to doing everything ourselves. I know how to put oil in my car. I know how to change a tire. I know how to do all of that. But if I got a man around, why not let him do it instead of me sitting up there doing it myself? Come on, learn how to be a woman at the right time. We don't have to always be in a position where I can do it myself. When you got a man there, allow him to be the man that he is supposed to be. He's the one that's wearing the pants. You don't always have to wear the pants all the time, whether you have them on or not.
Look at that. But she
And let the
preached
church say
of the
amen
man
to
in
that.
which that he is, then why in the world are you sitting up there wanting a man when you can do everything yourself? You got all the position. You have all the tools to take care of yourself if you want to take care of yourself, whether it's in the bedroom or outside of the bedroom. But if you're going to have a real man to do what he's going to do, then allow him to be the real man that he is. Stop diminishing the man that he is. Okay, I'm done. I'm stopped.
Pass the collection plate. Pass the plate.
Let the church say amen.
Yes, yes, Lord. You spoke to her.
Yeah, man, a kid said you about to make me dance in my shoes off of his feet.
Wow. Wow.
My soul says yeah.
Oh, goodness.
I got excited for a minute, y'all. I had to stop.
I didn't
Let
notice.
the church say amen.
Oh, okay, amen. Praise God.
Okay. Okie dokies. Well, guess what, folks?
We are out of time.
For the first time this year, I get to say we're out of time. So it's been a good one. It's been a wild one, though.
Yeah.
So let's get to these. Let's get to these announcements.
Announcements.
Okay? No. Should I, Leslie?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, do it.
Okay,
Wait.
then.
Do it.
Marcus, you want to do it?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Always.
Go
This
ahead.
has been a great Tuesday talk of the first Tuesday talk of 2022, and this is the after party, the first after party of 2022 as well. Please come and join us, everybody, at around 9:30, around 9:30. I should say 9:30.
Mm-hmm.
We'll post it in the chat. So make sure you look for the link. And of course, the Saturday night social is this Saturday as well. Make sure you look for the link on that chat, because the Saturday night social is, as always, at around 10:05 Eastern time. So come join us. We may play a little trivia and what have you. And of course, we're going to do this all over again. Hey, I don't know how we're going to top this Tuesday talk, but we're going to try to do it again. So join us again exclusively on YouTube and on Facebook. And as always, do the LSS treatment. Like, share, and subscribe, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Wilbanks. Thank you so much, though. I gave you a raise on your imaginary check. So thank you all so much. Yeah, thank you all so much, though. And that's it, folks. Thank you all so much. Thank you, panelists. Thank you for your contribution to making this week's show a great show. Thank you all for watching us. Thank you all for your support. Thank you for everything. So if it's the Lord's will, we'll see each other next week then. So until then, bye-bye,
See y'all
y'all.
in Bama real soon.
Okay.
All right.
Let's take some time and think for a minute. What's going on? And are we with it? I get the phone call away, but if no one calls, it's another day. How can I explain to you what I feel and what is true? And how can I do my best? How do you? How do you? I hear the things that people say, don't believe, 'cause it's not that way. I know what I'm talking about. I'm here, baby, and have no doubt. Would you walk for me? can't take it. Can't you see?